in. So that was somewhat of a statement, but not to the iconic status that it went. No, it wasn't the intention, and it wasn't even in our minds. And like you said, you just get so caught up in making it, you have no idea. And then we know it's popular, and then we know that we got all these ratings, and we know that it's working, but you can't, it's not like, say Superman was an icon long before it was a movie because of comic books. So when you started out, you're going to make this iconic movie, right? $6 Million Man didn't exist before, Bionic Woman didn't exist before. And it was, again, a point in history, both technologically and culturally, from gender culture, changing, things changing, and exponentially changing. And both shows just were a part of that change and expressed it. So it started slowly seeping into our awareness that it was becoming an iconic show. It was not something from the get-go that everybody said, hey, let's do that.
Well, 6 months after.
And people, excuse me, Richard, but people, the audience, are actually what creates that. You know, it is the audience saying, yes, we want a whole bunch of that. That makes it so, that makes it an icon. Audiences identify icons. You can't make an icon. Humanity identifies icons, if that makes sense.
Yeah. When I was doing the van, we had the first year, went through the roof, just, you know, right away, you know, ABC people were just shaking their heads. They didn't know what happened. But it was indeed a big, big smash. They moved us to Sunday night because we got hit by a comedy, half-hour comedy show, and 8 o'clock Sunday night, that was it. Then in the second kind of season, or at the end of the second season, we decided, well, we got to get a girl here. We get somebody in here, not just two guys going out and doing the thing. You know what I mean? So we came up with a lady called Lindsey Wagner. She'd been at Universal prior to this. She'd just been dropped because for whatever reason she was there for a certain length of time, and but she did come in, and I don't know the details of it, but she did read or whatever, and she played the part, came out and did it, and it was so, as you say, such a sensational happening that of course she died in a helicopter, not helicopter, parachute and so forth, and they said, and Silverman over at ABC says, we want her, and the studio was very embarrassed because they dropped her. And they said, well, we've got somebody else, we got this, we got that. He says, you don't understand, we want this lady. And that's what that happened, so we had to bring her back. Now, how are we going to do that? Cryogenics. We'll bring her back with cryogenics, you know, from the dead. And she came back, and it was just, as she started to say, better than I'm saying, it was a perfect time with Lindsey and Lee, and me sending her back on jobs. And then he said, we got to make a woman out of this too. And that was how the Bionic Woman happened. And then I was on the tennis court one day. I had a day off. And I got word that I was going to be on the Bionic Woman as well, just sort of as bringing a little of the man into the women, being the audience and so forth. And that's how the whole thing became such an extraordinary. I was working 2 shows at once there for 3 years, and talk about that in a minute.
You mentioned the tennis court. I believe, as I recall it anyway, our first introduction was on the tennis court the day I was filming in Ojai. Yeah. And Richard is an extraordinary tennis player. He's played all over the world in tournaments and whatnot. And I was a complete fake. I took lessons. When they said, can you play tennis? I said, sure. Like a really good actor, right? Can you do this? Yeah. No clue. Ran and took tennis lessons with this super duper hot tennis pro that taught all of the celebrities, right? And I said, I don't care where balls go, just make me look like a pro. And so he taught me for 2 weeks. I went every day. I was so sore, doing something so unnatural, hours a day. So by the time we got to shooting this scene, I was doing the scene where you probably, many of you will remember, when I hit the tennis ball, I was showing somebody how to do it, and it went through, bing, went through the fence. So why aren't you on the tennis circuit anymore? I said, because it wouldn't be fair, watch this point. And the ball flies through the fence. And when I was preparing for that, Richard walked in and I got to meet him, and he said, wow, and he just watched me do, but he wasn't paying attention to where the balls were going. And he said, oh, you play tennis. He said, oh, why don't you come and do the circuit with me or something? You invited me to do something with you. And I went, you don't want me as a partner. He said, yes. No, really, seriously. And it's good fun, Lindsey. And he's trying to talk me into it. Stick around. Watch the way I shoot this now. See where those balls go. And that was, so at that moment, I felt very confident that I had pulled it off. If he thought that I was a good player by watching me serve, then certainly the audience would, as long as they didn't turn the camera around.
Well, it was. I'm telling you, that she just got up there, and you know, she had to show that she was a pro. So I tell you, she went up like this, and man, she wham. That's all I wanted. 50 people say, my God, you know, this woman is amazing. She knows how to really hit the ball. As women in those days really weren't, you know, tennis like men were. But everyone knew that she was going to be, you know, a tremendous tennis player. Women were always in the second, always in the second tier. They never got the money. They never, the whole thing in those days. That's how it was.
Did we get a question, Supergirl?
Even when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, one of the things that I loved seeing was the friendship between Oscar and Jamie, that, you know, that they were protective of each other, that they were concerned when missions came through that maybe this is something we want to be doing, and the way that they talked about it, even as a little kid, that was something that really struck me. And I wondered what your recollection was of how that grew and how that came about.
I had to treat them both differently. With the man, I had to, you know, it was always, Steve was saying, look, I don't like to do this anymore, or whatever, and I'd have to just say, look, you know, this is a country, you have been helped to be alive as a result of it. In so many words, I didn't say that, but I had to talk to him in a certain way that he would just do it. And also I had a friendship with him. I always called him pal, and off the, you know, when we weren't in the office, every week I sent him out on a job, as I would have sent her out on a job, and I just, you know, friends and so forth. But with Lindsey, it was very different, because the first day I remember working with her was outside, and I hadn't done any dialogue with her. But I sat there, and we did this scene, and I was hearing, she was about like here, and I hear the voice. I wasn't really looking at her, it was supposed to be. I hear this voice with a certain kind of humor involved in the way she was playing the scene. I said, wow, this is going to be fun. Because she brought a sense of, you know, there's a certain amount of ridiculousness in this whole thing. And I got it, and I said, oh, come on, this is going to be peaches. So that was kind of trying to answer your question, that I'd have to direct them in different ways and be very, very patient in a way, because of her reasons for, you know, having a hard time doing this was because of personal things, violence, A, and B, also talking about everything in a different kind of thought. Lee, it was just, what time's lunch?
So as you probably know, Jamie's attitude. I always remember the episode I just watched, because in doing the couple of episodes, I did some commentary for the new DVDs coming out. And one of the ones I watched, and I can't remember what it is right now. Sorry. Oh, it was the wrestler. It was James Savage Summers, or in this corner, Jamie Summers, where I played Savage Summers. And I sang wrestler, and he's going, yeah, oh. I lean down on his desk, and I look him up, and I said, Oscar, you know how I feel about violence? And he goes, yeah, I know. So we, you know, everybody was in, the writers, the producers, we all kind of embraced those feelings that I wanted to hopefully get across of, you know, violence as an absolute last resort. And many other values that I thought, we don't have to not address these issues just because it's sci-fi or just because it's, you know, a whimsical kind of show or whatever you would categorize it. And the production people were wonderful in trying to incorporate it in any way they could. Richard also, if I may talk about him personally out of school.
Careful now.
Has three beautiful daughters, and was very, very, very much a part of their upbringing and loved being a dad. So there couldn't have probably been a better actor to bring that quality to Oscar Goldman, and more so than probably in some, when I watch it, sometimes I go, I can't believe he had the nerve to do that. No, really, especially then. You know, today, Metro Man, you can do whatever you want. You know, but then it was really ballsy to let that much sensitivity show and caring show as a boss, as a government agent, as, you know, all of the things that he was to represent. And that tenderness, it was extremely courageous of him to play it the way he did. And
I called her babe, too.
well, that was a little way.
Can't do that today. I had to find something, you know, to
Yeah.
sort of bring it in, but very quietly, you know.
Yeah, but there were just times